This hostility, it's been going on for years. It's not going to change. Elmer and Gatineau is like Russia and Canada.
What happens to us when we get to a rink? Why do we have somebody have to tell us right and wrong when you know goddamn well what's right and wrong?
Oh yeah, that guy. Just shoving his way through everything.
Where did that come from? Didn't come out of the sky. Came out of a part of you that doesn't ordinarily emerge.
When you're not coming from any sort of sport-oriented lifestyle or orientation, like not even as a kid. I mean, you're playing pickup baseball or softball or whatever like that, and all of a sudden you're in an organized sport. It's certainly overwhelming, and it creates an element of competitiveness right off the bat, because you want your kid to do their best and to be as the best that they can be, and especially when they're so young and they hardly know how to skate themselves. It was something.
And I remember him saying if hockey didn't work out, we were going to go into skiing. So it would have probably been a pretty different life had I not have gone into hockey. But I do remember kind of being on the ice for the first few times, and it was kids that more advanced, right? But I remember going from Pee Wee Double C to Double B. It's a pretty big jump, and so excited and so happy that we both were tearing up when we seen our name on the list. It's cool to think back on that, you know, remember little things like that.
The one thing that you really realize out of it all is it doesn't really matter what level they achieve, but it really is truly the relationship that you develop with your kid in that process, and hoping that along that journey that they're enjoying themselves, which is, I think, it gets forgotten.
But I really remember, you can definitely feel the vibes from the crowd on the ice, and not to throw my dad under the bus, but I remember there's moments, right, where I used to kind of look up at him a lot, not for necessarily approval, but to see like, oh, what's his facial expression? Does he think I'm doing good? Or does he think I'm, you know, maybe you could do this better? I remember doing that, and I could tell like from his facial expressions, maybe I could have did that better. Oh, okay, no, I'm playing good. I'm doing good. But yeah, you can. I think that was probably around 13, 14 when you kind of start to be able to really tell like people's moods and stuff like that. You can't really tell when you're younger. It's more like you go out there and you play, right?
You have to really keep in mind that whether or not your kid is having fun, it really seems to be very important, because you can ruin their outlook and the relationship that you can have with your kid if you're pressuring them too much, if you're coming out of games in a negative light, and they get a sense that you're disappointed in them. That can be ingrained, in fact, and how it affects them in the long term. So it's a delicate balance.
I was on the ice when it first started, actually, so I remember we lined up at the face-off. I don't remember exactly who was on the ice, but I know Reggie was on the ice, and it all started because someone had said a racial comment to him, and it wasn't the first time. Every time we seemed to have played Papineau, there was something going on with him and the other players. So I remember we lined up. I think the puck went into the corner or something and then just broke out. I had never seen, this is the angle I had never seen before. So seeing the crowd, I had always seen the angle from someone filming in the crowd. I think it must have been someone up over here filming kind of here, but you couldn't see the fight, the people going on right there. That's wicked. It's crazy to think that we're all just, we're basically kids still. You could definitely feel kind of, I don't know if it's just from being French and English or just some rivalry growing through the two towns over time, but obviously they're all French and most of us on Elmer are English, so there's definitely some tension from that involved in it for sure. For sure.
You said something that I just want to bring it back to. You
Yeah.
said, poor Reg.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking about when you said that?
Having to deal with this pretty much, not just this season, but seasons before, just not something that someone should have to deal with, anything like that, especially when you're trying to play hockey. There's one thing, there's chirping, right? There's being in the game, there's trying to get under your opponent's skin, but having to deal with racial comments all the time is just, it's not fair, you know? I'd heard people say the N-word before. I'd heard it was Papineau. I don't remember if it was exactly this season, but I've heard him be called it before. I played with another player, Jamal. Heard it once with him too. They didn't really react, right? I don't think they were used to it, but I think there's certain point where they snapped, or Reggie snapped at least, and this was it right here. That was the snapping point. I don't understand where, I guess they grew up differently, these guys. I don't understand where they think it's okay to be calling someone that as a, I don't know if it's a chirp or insult or whatever. It just doesn't really make sense to me. Kids fighting right in front of him. I never even witnessed. I never realized that. Stands up. Oh. Kind of got knocked and shoved over or something. I never even realized that. Kept pretty calm. That's good, at least. It's kind of almost hard to wrap my head around. It's different, for sure.